Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's AUDJPY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. So the next webinar is Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Now, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see your chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or just follow the link that I've given and you can join us in the webinars and then talk to me. All right, everybody, if you can just read through the disclaimer for those in the webinar itself, you can talk to me in the chat box or the question and answer box. Got both open. So please just read through the risk disclaimer. All right, let's move along. And if you don't know me, then my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the Forex market now for, trying to work out, since 2005. So what's that? 18 years. And mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me about the webinars, then you can just send me an email, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And through the week, you can connect with me at our website, acy.com market news tab, at our YouTube channel, AUDJPY Securities Australia, or you can connect with me as well on my personal Twitter and LinkedIn handles there. And in our Telegram channel, the AUDJPY Securities Telegram channel. If you want to get access to that, simply contact Nathan Bray. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, the ones I'm using in the webinars and in my analysis, then simply contact Nathan. He will set you up. So I'll just put his details in the chat if you want to contact him. If you've got any questions about opening an account, then he's the guy to ask as well. He's the go-to guy for everything. All right, so his details are in the chat there. All right, let's get into, first of all, what is coming up on the news front. So there's a few minor items. We've had already the Euro, French, and German flash manufacturing service data. Some of these used to be red items, but they're not coming out as red items anymore. But since that data has come out, we've had a bit of a sell down versus the euro. And at 7:30 p.m., this needs to be updated. I updated it before I came on, but it didn't obviously update very well. Next one coming up here is the pound flash manufacturing and flash services data coming out. That's at 7:30. So whilst I'm doing the webinar, that will be coming out. So it's going to be volatile. So it's not worth getting into a trade, I don't think, until past then on pound crosses. And getting into Wednesday here, we do at 12:45 in the morning have the US flash service PMI data as well. All right. And some more news coming out in the morning. You can go to Forex Factor and double check all this, but we have the New Zealand interest rate decision at 11 o'clock in the morning. These times are Queensland time. So that's coming out at 11 o'clock, expecting a 50 basis point rise there. All right, so let's go and review what's coming out. Over the next 24 hours, that is what's coming out. So just be aware the next one is the pound flash manufacturing flash services data coming out in 30 minutes. All right, with all that in mind, let's go to the charts. Now, might just start with the dollar index. We are definitely seeing an upward move, a day chart uptrend here at the moment. We're not seeing a weekly chart uptrend. We may have a minor higher bottom forming there, but if we can take out this top here, which is a much more significant lower top that's been formed, that will turn the weekly chart to up. One of the significant things we are seeing now to the monthly chart is this level of monthly resistance, these double tops that we were above, and then we moved back below. We're back above. So that is strength, hopefully, coming in. We could well just see this move all the way back up to the high of last year. All right. All right, so back to the daily at the moment. So the more that we can keep closing above 103.82, that monthly resistance level, we may have yesterday We had a US holiday yesterday, so we had a sell Friday, probably a light volume trading yesterday. And then we found a little bit of a higher bottom here, sitting on that monthly line of support, 103.82. So I'll be simply now continuing uptrend up, US dollar strength. S&P 500 is now showing you this day chart downtrend across this monthly range that I've been discussing. This lower top to lower bottom, failing at 79% level. To the weekly chart, failing at this kind of double top, triple top formation area. And the day chart has now turned back to down. So I'm anticipating that this will be moving down. It will have rallies. We may see a rally back up to 41.04, which is a monthly resistance level. Back to the monthly. That's the area just there. So we could see a rally back up. We do have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out early Thursday morning, 5 in the morning Queensland time. So we may well, have a little bit of fireworks then, and we may well see some form of a rally. Nothing ever goes just down. So expect a rally, and that would be a great, if you like to trade the index, that would be a great level to watch for, 41.04, assuming that it can rally there. So it does look like we've had a 79% failure up here. And are we going to revisit down here at monthly support at 34.87 over time? Have we topped out? This could be, as I've been saying on the currencies, I've been saying that maybe the yearly top's coming in. This could be the yearly top for the indices. Okay, slightly telling that the European US dollar strength, we're seeing US indices, S&P 500, I should say S&P 500 index, topping out there at the moment. Of course, we've got the FOMC data coming out on Thursday early morning, which, as I say data, but it's the FOMC minutes from the last decision. So the market will be looking to see if that's going to maybe lean a lot more towards continued interest rate rises, maybe 50 basis points rather than 25 basis points. All right. So let's just go and look at the pound crosses before the news comes out. Now, I'm still looking at, this is a range for last year, failed at 62% level of last year's trading range up here. I'm looking at this as a very significant topping area. This could be the top for the year that's already formed. Last week, we had a down week, then an up week, and then we finished negative for the week. All right, to my daily chart. So at the moment, we're just a little bit in the middle of day support, which is 1961. 1958 is actually a monthly low from back in time that we're just sitting on top of. And this line here is 120.80, which is daily resistance. So we're just kind of in between those 2 points. But this has moved down to a lower bottom after last week going up, then down in the week. So I'm anticipating we will be forming some form of a lower top. We might get up to 120.80 if price really wants to. That would be the line that we'll be watching for a rally to finish at. For a move down, I'm looking for this to be moving down to test 1841. I got short up here at 122.80 approximately, and I'm looking for this to break 118.41. And this double top up here, I'm looking for a move down to this 200% projection down there at least. And I might, depending on what happens when we break this level, try to hold it for a move down to test last year's low if it really wants to get that aggressive. But at the moment, that's a long way away. So at the moment, if you're not in, just move down to the 4-hour chart. Great level to watch would be this daily resistance level, 120.88 to rally back to. That's the range last week. We could go higher than that. If we do get a rally this week within the range of last week, watch the 62% level, 121.33, or watch the 79% level, 121.93. Now, we may not be able to get up to those high levels. We may only be able to get up to maybe 120.88, that daily resistance level, or maybe the 12100 level. So those are levels that I would be watching for failure. If you're not in, look to construct a trade around those to move down at the moment. All right. Pound yen, I put this out on Telegram today. That's my level. 161.81 is the level that I was watching today for price to fail at. All right, it's pretty much failing there right now. We have obviously moved through it. A bit of volatility came in the London session start. Couldn't take out last week's high. This is the 1 hour chart. Let me go to a 4 hour chart. Here we go. Last week's high here, we came up. Volatility coming in above that weekly top. Stops going off, and then we drop back down. So let's just take you through the whole process of how I'm coming up that level. Ultimately, on the day chart, this is a weekly top. And we failed there last week to fall below. And we are challenging, obviously, that top at the moment. We try to come up to challenge last week's high, and we just failed short. Are we going to see a failure here? A weekly resistance. So this line's weekly resistance and weekly supports down here from over here. Are we simply going to see a failure up here to move back down the range? This is very range bound at the moment. We could see a breakout, but I don't want to trade into resistance and buy into resistance. I would need to see if it's going to break out. I'd need to see it move above clearly. And then this becomes support to move up. All right, that move that we had early in London was probably a whole bunch of stops going off. And we're back below that weekly top, which is at 161.80. We're trading at 161.73 as I speak. So I'm still looking at that as the top of the range for a move down. Of course, we've got the news coming out at 7:30, 15 minutes or so away. So it's not the best idea just to trade right now because, of course, the news volatility could just drive it straight up and through. It would be nice to wait to see what happens after the news, and then can you trade at or around 161.80 on some form of failure. All right, so to my 4 hour chart, I was looking at drawing a fib like so. 79% level overlaps with that weekly top. All right, so we've had a rejection close to last week's high. Are we going to see a failure here through the course of the day to move down? All right, you can make your own decision as to where you want to trade that as and when. We may well be rejecting up there. Stops going off, driving it up. Once the stops are finished, there's no more buyers left. And we're withdrawing back below that level at the moment. All right, so that's what's happening on the pound crosses. We will go to the euro crosses right now. Had their news come out just earlier. So this is let's go to the weekly charts. Again, I'm looking at this potentially as a significant long-term top. Could be the yearly top. I've got a little bit short of 79% retracement of last year's trading range. Last week, we had a down week, and then an up week, and then a down week, all in the same week. All right, lots of fighting going on. This weekly trend at the moment is theoretically up. So your monthly trend is down, lower top, lower bottom. Is this a significant lower top forming on the monthly? Weekly trend hasn't turned down. If it is, it hasn't turned down yet. It needs to break this low to confirm the weekly change in trends. But the monthly trend is still down, even though the weekly is up. And the day trend is down here. So yes, we went down for the week, up for the week, up to that high, and then we went down to this low on Friday. Might be forming a lower top just here for a further decline to move below, some of these levels of support here. 106.35 is actually a monthly low. It's this low just here. So we're just sitting just above at the moment. Some buying pressures coming in at that monthly low. So if we can really break below 106.35 this week, that would be great. That would get that significant level taken out. All right, so there's the 106.35 level. And we've got day support there at 106.55. So if we could break below 106.100 this week, that would certainly eye up and move down to test weekly support down here at 104.81. So this is in a downtrend on the daily. 4 hour chart. it would, if you're not already in, it would be nice for this to, this is the range of last week's candle range here. It would be great if the market wanted to participate to come up to a higher level of resistance up here, 107.36. I'm getting that from this weekly, this is a weekly top here, 107.36. Would be great if we could get a rally up to 107.36. It lines up with the 62 level at 107.30. So it's a question of whether some news volatility can spike us up there. Like when the FOMC meeting minutes come out, we could move up to that level. But, I'm always looking to sell a rally in a downtrend. I don't want to be getting in too close to the low of where price is. I don't want to be getting in too close to the low last week, because that could be support. So I'm always looking at where I'd like to trade sometimes, and price doesn't always get to where I want to trade. So I just have to wait and be patient. Now, of course, you could just be clicking in here. You could be putting your stop above the last 4-hour swing top, and you're just waiting to see if price will break down below support levels. But you create better risk reward if you wait for a rally up to a higher level of resistance that overlaps with a fib to then trade down. So in the perfect world, moving up to that level, first of all, for then a move down towards the 127 extension of last week candle range extended out. That would be down at 105.60. So that would be my perfect scenario, but we might not get that scenario. And then you'll have to manufacture something else if you want to get in. At the moment, we have failed at the central pivot point today. Now, we may come up. Clearly, when the Euro news came out today, traders are sitting at the central pivot point. So it may come up to the central pivot point today and offer you an opportunity to trade down from that level once more. All right. I wouldn't want to be selling too close to my support levels at the moment. 106.55 day support, 106.35 monthly support. All right. And there's a little bit of support coming in here in the green zone of the pivot. So this isn't really where I want to sell. At the central pivot point or above. Yesterday we failed at 10700. So if we come back up to 10700 today, that would be certainly a good level to watch for failure. But as I say, my most desired level would be up here at 107.36 if we can move up to that level. Sometimes in a week, when I'm looking for a level and I'm watching, it never gets there. And that's fine. I can live with that. What I don't want to do is sell the bottom of a move. Okay. And it's just worth noting this imbalance over here. When we were up here starting to fail, I said we could come down into fill this imbalance, which, if we do fill that imbalance, there's every chance we're going to move down and test that weekly low down here at 104.81. All right, so it's just a question of trying to sell a rally. 10700 maybe, 107.36 higher up. Euro yen. Now, we're going to mix of trends at the moment because the weekly trend, well, that's actually getting a little bit mixed. Now that we had a week up, we're getting maybe a higher bottom here. That higher bottom of significance wasn't there last week until we've started to pop up. But we've got this range here that we've had a clear negative move down in this range. And I'll just be monitoring this pull back up here with the idea that at some point we're going to put in a significant high point. So disregarding that bottom at the moment, the level I've been watching is this triple top area up here at 144.26. It's in between the 62 and the 79% level of this weekly range. If I go to the highest high up there of the last year's price action, the 62 level is at 144.19. This triple top area over here is at 144.26. We got a couple of pips short of 144 when the news was coming out earlier, or just ahead of the news when stocks were going off and prices were moving up. So I am watching this area up here for a failure. I'm very much aware that the day trend is up here at the moment, but it's overextended. We were failing for quite a while at 142.55 weekly resistance, that low there, but price is obviously popping up above these tops, were above the top of the range that was forming here. All right, so I'm watching up here at the moment. Well, where the day trend is up, but it is overextended. So I'm just watching from I would say from 144 up to 144.26, which is these triple tops. That's the monthly high over there. What happens if price gets there? One of the things I've noticed is that we have had this imbalance that formed, and the market's been clawing all that back. For those as well that like order blocks, there's your imbalance that we filled. And we have an order block here. Now, we actually were sitting at the base of that order block until we popped up today. Until we popped up today, we're actually sitting just underneath. So it's fine to go into the order block. But if we start to see that price right now is holding below the order block, and then tomorrow maybe the 4-hour chart turns to down, as I'm talking, it's selling off, then this could be a significant high. There's lots of technical reasons why we could top up here. It's how much information you want before you pull the trigger. All right. Now, of course, we could actually continue all the way up here, and that's why you've got stops. If you want to, if you want to trade short and you're wrong, you must have your stop in. If we're going to trade continually up, I'm not going to, we've had a long move up here. I'm not going to buy at the top of a move. I'd need to see a pullback and buy at the bottom of a pullback, not at the top of a run. So on the 4-hour chart at the moment, we're getting quite a nasty rejection at last week's high, just underneath. Last week's high just underneath the base of that order block. If we see a significant shift in structure on the 4-hour chart here to down, then I think we're looking for an opportunity to look for a sell. I don't have that at the moment, so I'm just watching. What I will be certainly watching for tomorrow is if we come back up to test 144, let's say that's the high of the day, and we trade down. We trade just through this in this area that we're in now for the rest of the day. Then tomorrow I will re-watch the 144 level. What happens there if we retest the 144 tomorrow? If we go up to 144, retest and fail, then I may well have a go at trying to get a very tight entry to short. All right, at the moment, I'm not seeing an opportunity that I want to jump on, but I am watching this area for failure, okay? So I don't really need that order block culling all my charts up. I know where the bottom of it is on the day chart. It's just that below that blue candle just there. And if I go to the 4-hour chart and squash this in, that imbalance is actually larger on the 4-hour chart. We haven't actually filled the whole imbalance yet on the 4-hour chart. Whether or not we can get all the way up, actually gets us almost to 145. So if this still remains bullish on the 4-hour chart structure, we could get up to 145, but 144.26 is the monthly top. 144, can't quite see the number. I think it's 144.19 is the 62 level. And then obviously the 14400 level. So in that area, I'm going to highlight it so we can review it on Thursday. All right, that area there I'm watching. 144 to 126. Get my box to unbox. All right, that's my area I'm watching. We may have already rejected from that level. That's been a hefty sell-off. So watch that area if we revisit, but we might not revisit because you can clearly see there that at the moment it's heavily selling off. And we may just well, be looking for a short tomorrow after having seen a 4-hour downtrend form on the 4-hour chart. All right, we may well simply sell off all day, break these lows, and then draw a fib in tomorrow. I'll look for a rally, 62 or 79% level, okay? And I may well post something tomorrow on Telegram if it looks like setting up that way. So at the moment, just waiting for structure to break to the downside. Then can you sell a rally? Because if that breaks structure like I'm showing you, this could come up to that 79% level. Form a left shoulder, head, right shoulder at the top there, right? Okay, so we're looking for some kind of formation of reversal there if it continues its sell-off from that 4-hour candle. All right, going to head left. Got a number of ambulances flying past my area at the moment. Don't know whether you can hear them. All right, Aussie yen. Now in the Telegram today, I posted out the 92.81. Now this line I'm just getting rid of, which is 92.50. That's a weekly level of resistance there, which we're at. But we've got a weekly top here. Last week's top up there. On the weekly chart perspective, this is corrective. Lower top, lower bottom, kind of in the 62% area. We're testing a weekly top, and we've got a weekly low there too, 92.59. We're just fractionally below there right now. All right, so I said on the weekend we may top out in this area. Another day chart trend is up, but the weekly trend is down, so I'm looking for this to turn around. You can see the candle for the day at the moment, it is negative. Are we going to finish with a negative candle by the end of the day? As I'm talking, I'm just looking at my other screen. Euro yen sinking down below one. Oh, sorry, that's the pound yen I'm watching on my other screen. That's sinking down at the moment. 4 minutes before the news comes out, pound yen's down at 160, 150 at the moment. All right, so, you know, we may well have a rejection candle here by the end of the day. If we break the low of that candle tomorrow on the Aussie yen, we're going to have a lower top starting to form at where I would expect maybe the next weekly lower top to form. So this for me is the area where you could take a trade and you should be holding it, back to my weekly chart, should be holding it for a failure here to move down through supports, moving down like so towards the 127 extension. That's my outlook. All right, so at the moment we are, I said watch 92.81 today. And the way I came up, that's my weekly level, my weekly top. Drew a fib. It's very similar to the price level set up on the pound yen. I drew a fib in from there. And the 79% level was at 92.77. Weekly top set 92.81. I said it might get up to the 93 level. Didn't quite get there. And maybe we are now starting to falter up there. So you need to make your decision if you like that level. Do you want to trade it? All right, it's very choppy at the moment. But through the course of the day, we have been up close to 93 and it's starting to break down a little bit. It might come back up to 92.81 through the course of the day. You know, you need to make your decision how you want to get in. If you want to get in, how you're going to get in. You're going to get in on a further test up here. I mean, you could be trading at the 79 level, the 92.81 level, 100 pip stop, or a tighter stop, or you could be waiting for price to come back up and wait for a failure. And a short-term price action setup. All right. Aussie dollar. All right, that's last year's high to low. Monthly chart is in a downtrend. Are we forming a lower top here? My weekly charts, it is in an uptrend. Last week we had an up week and a down week, finishing negative for the week. Did close below that weekly top. Are we forming a double top up here for a long-term decline? It's going to be a long-term decline. We're going to trade below 61.69. If this is a true double top. I'm going to go through double top patterns tomorrow and how to spot them and trade them. If that's a true double top price projection, I'll go through this tomorrow, but it's the height of the pattern projected below, and that comes in at 52. All right, now I don't know if we'll get down to 52. It's just a long-term price projection at the moment. All right, and the pound news is just coming out. It's just spiking up a little bit. So my long-term projection, if it's a double top, would be all the way down at 52 and people are going, it's never getting down to 52. But if it is, you need to get in if you want to trade it down to 52. Okay, I don't know if it's getting down to 52. Of course, it has to break last year's low yet before it can get down to 52. All right, and we don't know if it can break last year's low, which is down here. Just back to my weekly chart moment, which is down here. But even if all it does is go down to last year's low, that's a good trade from trading up here. And then you can work out, is it going to break down? So at the moment, the monthly trend is down. We're waiting to see if this weekly double top kind of forms. Can we get a break of weekly trend? We'd have to break that low down here at 66.29, which is some way away at the moment. But your day chart trend is down. Then back to up, and then back to down through the course of last week. All right. And it's just starting to hold below this weekly top at 68.93. Been up to retest 69 today. Are we going to have a day down? Maybe today or into tomorrow. Are we going to see a move below 68.55? With the New Zealand interest rate decision coming out tomorrow, that will affect the Aussie dollar, especially if it's dovish. Now, if it's dovish from the New Zealand tomorrow, then the Aussie dollar will continue its downtrend. It is continuing its downtrend as I'm talking. It's negative for the day, and we could be forming a lower top here. So, getting in today, we are failing at 69. We may well pop back up. You can work out whether or not you want to trade at 69. And it wouldn't be the worst trade in the world to sell at 69, stop at 70. You get your stop above, back to the day chart here, you get your stop above. There's daily resistance that we were failing at last week, 69.84. So your stop would be above that level. All right. It would be away from the market. And we may just well see a continued move down this week. All right. So failing at 69 area at the moment. So you need to work out if we retest 69, how do you want to trade it? Let's see if we can get back up to 69. But we might find over the next couple of trading days that 69 gets tested. Maybe once or twice. All right. Last week, we got down almost, last Friday, we almost got down to 68. So we couldn't get down through 68. So 69 may see maybe a bit of a battleground. We might be a little bit above it this week, a little bit below it. But if we can start to fail there, then we may well see resistance starting to form at 69. Now I'm just going to go over to the pound pairs because price is moving up at the moment. The figures that came out. All right, so the flash service PMI is now above 50, which is not contracting. Anything below 50 on these is contracting, so it's no longer contracting on the flash services. So at the moment, both pound oil and pound yen's moving up. I can see on my other screen. So from the pound perspective, watch that to the 120.88 up to, I would say 120.100 through today's trading. See what happens up there as we're obviously going up. Now we might not be able to get up there. This is just the first 4 minutes reacting. And the pound yen, is challenging last week's high at the moment. It's hitting daily resistance. That's why I said I wouldn't be trading at 160, 180 while we're waiting for the news to come out, because anything can happen. We're going to be excessively negative before the news comes out, and then boom. So at the moment, it's testing this top here. This could still maintain the top of that range area for this to move down. And right now, because now we're above the weekly level at 61.80, we could withdraw back below 61.80. We're only 48 pips away. And we know how much the pound yen can move in a day. So this obviously could continue up. But, in the next half an hour after the reaction to the news finishes, are there any more buyers? All right. So it's up there at the moment. I now would have to wait to see what the day brings. If we come back down by the end of the day, if we're back down to 61.80, closing below 61.80 tomorrow, 61.80 once more, will still be a level to watch for failure. All right. So we'll just have to wait and see if this range is breaking up to the upside or simply we're just further testing resistance here. So that level there hasn't been tested since late December. Couldn't get there last week. It's definitely going to be orders there to sell. All right, so we'll come back to that maybe a little bit later in the webinar. We'll see what price action is doing. It is still ticking up, so I'm guessing the pound dollar is still ticking up. All right, so we'll look at those by the end of the webinar just to see where they're positioning. All right, so we cover the Aussie pairs. Let's get to the New Zealand. New Zealand yen is still very much in its range-bound mode here. I'm still watching to see if price can come into this resistance area to fail, to move back down within this range. Okay, now, it's this game of patience. Now, you could go, this is doing nothing. I'm not even going to watch it. But, when it was down here, it came all the way up to there and then trade, well, this low here. So this high here came up to there, trade all the way down to there and all the way back up. Now, whilst it's doing nothing at the moment, you could forget about it and miss the opportunity. If it moves into that area, you want to know what it's going to do. Because if it fails, it could easily move back down to there. And that would be the most simplest trade in the world to trade the failure here. It's failed there once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Right now, of course, it can break above and through. But at the moment, it's proving to be resistance. That's telling you where the sellers are sitting. And if we just do a little bit of analysis from the weekly perspective, that's the last weekly down move of significance, breaking below that low there. And there's a minor higher bottom forming here, but it can't get above the 50 level. Doesn't want to get up to the 62 level. So why is it getting capped there? Is it getting capped there because it's going to move down long term? If tomorrow the New Zealand RBA, it's not the RBA, it's because the RBA is the Australian one, but the NZ, what is it? The New Zealand, what is it called? RBNZ, there we go. It is just the same as the RBA, but you get rid of the A and put the NZ on the end. So when the RBNZ press conference comes out and the head talks about interest rates, if they come out with negative dovish talk, then what we might see tomorrow is, this is the 4-hour chart. Let me go back to the daily. We may come up at the beginning when information gets released to that area, but then we get the press conference and that could be dovish. So we might get the 50 basis points rise. We may move into that area. Then the press conference could be dovish and then we fail there and move down and we could have a long-term move down. So just watch the area. If you don't watch it, you might miss out and you might be kicking yourself. All right, New Zealand dollar. Now, last week, and a lot of these pairs are looking very similar. Are we putting in the yearly highs? So that's last year's range. This potential double top is in the 62% region. It's actually double topping here at monthly resistance. Monthly chart, 62% retracement approximately, back to monthly resistance, lower top, lower bottom. Are we putting in a lower top here to simply move down to challenge last year's low? Are we going to challenge the 2019 low? Are we going to come down and challenge this low over here? 48.92. All right. I know we've been up for 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then we're negative this month. So we had 4 months of positivity. We might have now 6 months of negativity. All right, and we could be down in the low 50s. All right, so the weekly trend here, I don't know if it traded is actually below there, 61.91. We couldn't quite, we traded down at 61.93 last week. That's at 91. So this weekly low here, and we got monthly support at 62.04. So we were a couple of pips of trying to break below that level. If we clearly break below that level, this double top is going to come into play. And I'll draw a fib across like so, and double top price projection is down at 58.68. All right, so we actually had a week up last week and then a week down, hitting monthly, weekly supports. Couldn't quite trade below weekly support. Are we going to form a lower top here? Trade down. What I'll be watching tomorrow, there's a range of last week. Do we come up to the 62 level on volatility from the news, the 79% level on volatility? All right. We may only just come up to broken day support at 62.70 here. That's that level here. We may just come up to that level tomorrow. 62.70, we could stab up to 63 tomorrow as the news comes out, and then do we simply continue with the trend. You know, last week we formed a minor double top here to a lower low. I'm just anticipating at some point within the range of last week, we're going to form a lower top. It could be at 62.70 up to 6,300 for failure, for a move down. And then are we going to break below 61.91? All right. Looks a bit ominous for a break for me. You know, we formed clear triple top on the day chart here, forming a potential weekly double top at monthly resistance. All this is just perfect structure formation. And, you know, we formed a triple top at structure, day triple top and monthly structure. Now we're just waiting to, you know, if you trade it up here and you're short, you're waiting for a break of support here. If you're not in, you're waiting to try and trade and maybe some formation of a lower top. Now, there is, of course, there's the opposite side of the coin here at the moment. I'm negative because I'm short from higher up. So I'm just trading the trend down at the moment, hoping we're going to break support. But you may be more bullish. If you're bullish, then you could be looking for a reversal back up from this level. All right, if we start to move above 6,300 and close nicely above 6,300, maybe you're then looking for a trade up back up to the top of the range. All right, there are two sides of the coin here at the moment. But I'm just looking at what is the monthly trend, what is starting to form on the monthly chart. I'm looking at this as possibly the high of the year at the moment. For me, this is the high of the year unless it gets taken out, just because of what I'm seeing on the monthly. This 62% level back to monthly broken supports becomes resistance for the next leg down. All right. Now, I can be proven, of course, wrong, but until we break above that high, I'm just anticipating at the moment this may be the yearly high, and we could be moving through weekly support down. So after the news tomorrow, watch up here at 62.70 up to 6,300, and if we further move up, then look to your fib levels. What happens at the fib levels? There's lots of 4-hour resistance here at the 72 level at 63.47, but that's a long way away. I'm hoping we don't get up there. All right, but we'll wait and see what happens. Now, dollar Canadian, it's very range bound. All right, I've got weekly support here. We're actually forming another level of weekly support here. So a higher bottom. So I've got two higher bottoms and a lower top on the weekly. So it's getting a little bit more bullish than bearish, but I don't have a higher, you know, I don't have a higher top. Two higher bottoms and a lower top. And the day chart is stuck between what is day support. We got a fraction short of it last week at 132.62, and we're holding here at daily resistance. We did move up to a higher top, but at the moment, it doesn't seemingly want to move through. So the thing to look for at the moment is, do you want to trade down from the top of the range to the bottom of the range? Current 4-hour candle is negative. All right, so if you want to trade this pair, I'll be seeing whether the price can come up to retest 134.71, and can you get a tight, maybe trend line breakdown? All right, we do though have, and it's worth refreshing your memory if you like to trade the Canadian dollar or the dollar CAD, is we've got CPI data coming out at 11:30. So when that comes out, it's probably going to go gangbusters one way or the other. So it's a little bit dangerous to be in that at the moment. I mean, if I had to guess, I would maybe say this is going to go north, because we do have a high to a higher top. We're maybe just starting to maybe change the structure from a range to a trend. So I'd be drawing a fib across that range and watching the fib levels for pullback. All right, whether or not that pullback will come after the CPI data, because we might just blow straight north, but that's the way I'll be approaching it. Look for a pullback within the trend that's starting to form. As I just said before, we've now got 2 weekly higher bottoms, and this is a lower top up here on the weekly, but forming 2 higher bottoms now is a little bit more, is better than 1 lower top. So we may well be eking our way up the range long term. We know the dollar index is starting to move up, so this may be just starting to shift its tone to the upside here. So I'll be looking for a 62.79% pullback if it could offer. All right, let's look at the dollar yen. Just looking at my other screen, the pound pairs are still moving up. All right, quite a number of lines here, but of significance, if you go to your monthly chart, this monthly top up here is at 135.16, which we got fractionally short of last week. So that is the key level to watch. Can we move through and above that level? If we simply test it this week and we can't, we could see a critical failure there. All right. So weekly trend at the moment, let me just get rid of a few lines. So that line just here is that monthly top. We've moved above this weekly resistance, so that could be some form of support on a pullback this week. That's what I'm looking at. We do pull back in any form. 133.62 could be weekly support this week. So the day trend here is high tops and bottoms. So there's your 135.16 level. That's the monthly top. Testing a couple of daily tops over here at the moment as well. But this is all uptrend. So I will be looking at 133.62 at the moment. This is going to continue up really now that we've moved above 133.62. As a buyer, you don't want to see price move below there. We can see the low on that red day was pretty much at that level. So I would just be monitoring for a drift down to 133.62. What will it do there if it can pull back? I'm not going to be buying up here at last month's high and that monthly significant top. If I'm wanting to position myself to the upside to maybe move above that level, I want to buy a dip. So watch 133.62 at the moment. Do we see a move down to that level? Now there is also the possibility that we do move below that level, but the trend remains in play. And we draw a fib from that high to sort of low to high. And then you watch the fib levels, 62 and 79% levels. All right, for pullback. So it's just a question of, this is very high up at the moment, not where I prefer to be a buyer. I much prefer to buy. Well, in the perfect world, it'd be great if it came to the 62 level, 131.82, or the 79 level, 130.94. But we'll just have to monitor. It may only just pull back to that weekly level of support. So watch for a pullback. Does it pull back to an area that you like, and then look for a setup to buy? This is too high up in my mind at the moment, too close to that 135.16 level. There's also the possibility that if we do come up and test 135.16 and reject, then we get a change in trend on the 4-hour chart and you trade it down. But just at the moment, it's in a position where I'm not going to trade. I'm not seeing a setup to sell. And I know we're in a cleared uptrend at the moment, so I don't know if I really want to sell in any event. I just need to see a pullback to a level that I'm happy with. First level then I'm watching is 133.62. And just watching the pound on my other screen. Pound's getting very close at the moment. We'll go and have a look at the moment. It's getting very close to 121 at the moment. All right. We'll just finish with gold and then we're going to revisit the pound pairs. So gold looks like it's maybe forming another lower top. Let's go to the monthly chart. So we've been fading up here at some old monthly tops. We've got this historical top, 1920. Slightly lower top there, 1916. In between the 62 to 79% level of that move down. And that's looking pretty negative on the monthly chart there. We could well be moving back down to test these lows down here at the 1676, 1678 level if this trend continues. Now the monthly trend is down. This could be a lower top forming on the monthly, but this weekly trend is up. All right. And your daily trend is down. It's back to the weekly. Just want to know where I'm getting that 1860 level from. Must be from a day chart somewhere. Just going to take it off. Back to my weekly. All right, so we've got a weekly level support just here, that top, 1807.84. That would be where I would anticipate 1807. So it's 1807.84. All right, today chart. So this is a downtrend, but if we come into this level here, expect a bounce because it is support. And we had all this consolidation, congestion before breaking north. So we broke through that area here. I would expect some buying pressure to come in there in the short term. So if you are short, that's a great level to take profits in the short term. As to getting in, I will just be monitoring a pullback from the lower top to the bottom. So let's drop down the 4-hour chart. You know, can we see a rally to a 62 level, 79% level, or then a further move down? All right, don't get caught short, trying to short a bottom. It is obviously been moving down nicely, but don't try and sell the bottom. And then you get caught against a rally. Always look to sell a rally. So draw your fib in looking at the 62 level, 1862, 79 level, 1874. And this could be a significant top up here from the monthly perspective. No price action wants to get up at the moment to fill these imbalances either. They're on the 4-hour chart. All right, so let's go. Let's drop back to the pound crosses. So of course, we're having a very large move up at the moment. Pound yen. It's moving up too. I just want to have a look because we could, we could go up now. Just want to see what's in the way. There is a level of weekly resistance there at 163.033. All right. So we're not too far away from that level. So that's a level worth watching. But now that we've broken above that weekly top, we are actually in a bit of much more of an uptrend here now. This little area here would now be starting to get classed as a higher bottom to a further higher top. But, I'm I wouldn't be jumping in just to buy right now because we're getting very close to that top there. You know, if you thought this was going to be moving up long term, you should have been buying days ago. This is obviously coming up on the reaction of the news. So 163.03 is definitely worth watching because that's weekly resistance. What does the market? There's a whole bunch of people that have gotten shorts, and they're jumping out at the moment, and some people are jumping in. All right, so that's what's creating all the buying pressure. It's whether or not that buying pressure can sustain itself in that resistance area that we were holding below before. So we've already more than done the range for the day, so it's way overextended. So pound dollar, I said watch 120.100. We are at 120.100 right now. All right. All right, 121.39, that area of resistance that was last week before moving higher. We held, moved higher, and moved back below. So I don't know whether we can get there today. Could get there tomorrow. That would be a level to definitely watch. But at the moment, starting to watch over the next hour, what does price action start to do at 121? Because if we continually start to hold there at 121, you might see a nice tight opportunity to trade down from that level. Don't forget where the trend is on the pound dollar. It is down. We've got potential of a weekly double top up here. And this daily structure is down to a lower bottom. This is just corrective. It's just correcting some of last week's move downwards. All right. So watch 120.100. Watch that 62 level. We obviously, if the market gets very aggressively to the upside over the next 24 hours, watch the 79% level here. You know, my bias is still to the downside until, you know, we can take out this top up here, then things may change. This is just moving back up inside the range of last week at the moment. Starting to hold at 120.100. Now you could be aggressive and trade at 120.100 or very close to with 100 pip stop. Positioning yourself on the basis that you're just going to see this downtrend hold its position and continue down. That's a positional trade. Like last week when we came up, when we rallied up here last week, let's just review what happened last week. We rallied up last week to daily resistance, 62% fib, which price went through a little bit. But if you're trading in this area, stop above that high, you would have caught that move down. And we may just get the same kind of scenario this week. We're just rallying at the moment to move further down long term. All right. Now it's starting to head back towards that daily level of resistance, 120.80. All right, starting to withdraw a little bit. Is it topping out? You're going to have to make your own decision. Do you want to click in with a larger stop, or do you want to wait for some price action to form around this area so you can structure a closer entry? All right, you need to make your decision at some point if you want to trade it or don't trade it at all. It's up to you. And Edwin, I know you trade the pound crosses, so I don't know what you're doing. Always difficult when the news comes out a little bit against what the trend is, because then you might have the doubt in your mind, oh, is that going to change the trend? All right, Edwin, tell me he had an entry for a small buy that you missed. Only you're shorting. And now you're waiting for that ride to finish. All right. All right. I mean, the way I would tend to look at this is if we had another candle form at the moment and we came up to 120-100 and I wasn't short and I wanted to get short, at the moment I would be waiting to see if we could trade back up to 120-100. And then if I was wanting to maybe trade a long-term positional play, I'd be shorting at 121, stop at 122. And I'll just let the market run. I'd be looking at, I'm selling a rally within that day chart downtrend for a continued decline. All right, and I'd be targeting, I would be looking for then for a break, anticipating a break of weekly support here for a long-term move. All right. I was going to risk 100 pips there. I'll be wanting this double top up here. I'd be trading that pattern, getting in here for a break of this low, for then targeting a move, anticipating a targeting move down to the 200% price projection at 122.35. So 122.35, let's call it, yeah, 122.35 is fine. So it's not 122.35, it's 112.35. And at the moment, discussing selling at 121. That's 865 pips away. So if you were risking 100 pips, and let's say we did get down there, that's a risk reward of over 1 to 8. So that's fine. Of course, you could construct something with a tighter stop and create a great risk reward, but that's a nice, comfortable risk reward, not risking too much of your account. And 100 pips is not a large risk. You know, you might say, well, 100 pips, that's a lot of pips. But if you're taking a smaller position, so you're only risking 1 to 2% of your account, it doesn't matter that it's 100 pips. If we break this support low, we could well be moving down to 112.35 area, maybe the 113 area, all right, in line with that pattern. So that's the way I'll be looking at that. Already trading at 120.80, so maybe you've already missed the opportunity to trade at 121. Now, we may get a further retest of 121 over the next 24 hours. You can watch that level, or we may not. It may just withdraw all the way back down. Sometimes you have to decide, you know, when I'm watching a pair, I have to make a decision about what the higher time frame pattern looks like, where I think it's going. If I'm not in, do I want to get in? And I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision that if I don't make a decision, I'm prepared to be wrong. I know you're telling me you're shorting at, I don't know whether you've already shorted or you're shorting at 120.90. 04. I'm guessing you've already shorted if you keep telling me what the pip is. Slavia, you're saying you shorted. All right, so Annie and Slavia, you've both shorted. All right, so, you know, the key to trading is I've got no idea when I take a trade if it's going to work. What I do know is long term that if I'm trading at very good levels and creating great risk reward over a series of trades, I'm profitable. All right, because when I'm right, I make great risk reward. So that mops up any short-term losses that I have when I'm wrong. All right. So that's the way you have to look at your trading, is how can you construct great risk reward? And this potentially up here offers great risk reward if we break support here. The trend's down. So we've all heard the term sell a rally in a downtrend, buy a dip in an uptrend. This is a rally at the moment until proven differently. And your stop loss is going to prove to you if you're wrong. All right. Slavia asked me, what are my thoughts on the FR40? Wow, I can't remember the last time I looked at the FR40, but I'll have a look at it before we go. All right. Well, it's testing. I'm assuming this is the all-time high. So, I mean, this could be a double top if it wants to be. It's coming up from a lower bottom. So, you know, you want to see the day chart turn to down. This is the weekly picture. So, of course, there's a potential for a double top there. And at the moment, of course, we're an uptrend on the day. So we'd need to see, I'd need to see, unless you want to be really aggressive, I'd need to see a lower top form. Lower bottom, lower top would be the perfect scenario, or at least a lower top from a higher bottom scenario. So it's definitely in that, you know, window of, well, is that going to be a significant double top? I do like the fact that it's moving up from a lower bottom here. Is this, you know, going to be a significant top? So just monitor the day chart. Do you see structure change the day chart and then see an opportunity to trade? Now, you can obviously trade it on the 4-hour chart. That's starting to be down. It's just actually come up to the 62 level on that spike. It's moved down, come back to 62 on that candle. So it may have already had another intraday dip rally before moving down. So maybe it's starting to top out there on the 4-hour charts. I would probably wait for the day. Now, this is a true double top. Let's just squash the day chart in. There's going to be plenty of, some of this data looks a little bit ugly. I don't know how accurate some of these spikes are. If this is a true double top, this will fall down, rally, and form a lower top somewhere. So if you just monitor it, sooner or later, you'll see that rally occur. So we want to see a failure, rally, a breakdown. We don't have that yet. We're starting to see that on the S&P 500. See how it came down, rally back up, putting the lower top. We're breaking the lower bottom. That's starting to break the structure down at the moment. So we don't have, that's bearish structure. We don't have bearish structure at the moment on the FR40. All right. I mean, this could get support from that day top just there to move up. All right. So I will just keep monitoring it. You know, what does this week bring? Do we finish this week on a negative week? We've obviously gotten driven up last week to the high, but what happens at the close of this week? Or do we have a negative week down? That's going to be the starting point. All right, Slav is telling me shortly the FR40 right at the major double top. So kudos for that. Hopefully it doesn't retest the high. All right, all you can do, you know, I trade at some double top highs as well on the currencies and double bottoms, and, you know, stops above the high or below the low, waiting to see if I'm right. All right, before I go, pound yen is just withdrawing a little bit up there. Pound dollar, now obviously doesn't like the 120-100 level there, so if it does get back up there, it's obviously worth watching that area for further failure as it absorbs that news. Okay, everybody, coming up tomorrow then, if you've got time, education webinar tomorrow. We're going to go through double tops and bottoms. I touched on that today. That's what's coming out tomorrow, 8 p.m. Sydney time, and then Thursday more analysis. We can review what happened after the FOMC meeting minutes release early Thursday morning. That's what's coming up if you've got the time. Look forward to seeing you there. All right, everybody, have a great trading week. Thanks very much for your attendance with me tonight.